Hi folks, and welcome back to the channel. So, I know it's been a minute. Things in my personal life and work and things like that have kept me from doing a whole lot of recording. But I am back. I'm going to be doing at least this video and one more tonight, and I'm going to try to get some more up. So this will be my Friday upload, and expect another one coming shortly there afterwards. Either Sunday or Monday, depending. But this video in particular is for my good buddy Sean Erschen from the Horror Corner. He has done a tag video, and he has 10 questions in his John Carpenter tag. So, John Carpenter's not my favorite director. He's done a lot of good movies. I enjoy quite a bit of his work. But he's not my favorite, but he is huge in the horror community. And he is one of Sean's, if not Sean's, very favorite directors. So he's done a tag, and I wanted to participate. Wasn't directly tagged by anybody, and I'm not going to tag anyone specific. There are a few channels I would like to see do this, but if you don't feel like doing it, then that's perfectly fine. And if you want to do it, consider yourself tagged. Make sure that you give proper links and proper credit to Sean for creating it, and mention me if you saw it in my video and not on somebody else's. So Sean has 10 questions in this tag video, and his first one is, so his first question is your favorite John Carpenter score. I like John Carpenter's music as far as the way he writes it, as far as the sound that the atmosphere that he creates with music. I'm just not super crazy about his instrumentation. He uses a lot of electronic stuff, a lot of synthesizers and electronic instruments like that, and I'm just more of an organic kind of music. I love a real piano versus, keyboards. Even though, yes, there's so much more you can do with things like that. So much more you can do with a computer than what you can do with a legitimate real instrument. But I like the organic feel and sound of real instruments. So for me, the one that combines his love of that with the electronic stuff and his musical talent the best, and makes the best true score for a movie to immerse you in the atmosphere of it, is Escape from New York. The post-apocalyptic feel, the social commentary that he's making, the character of Snake Plissken, the anti-hero of Snake Plissken. He's a bad guy doing bad things to worse people. The electronic score really fits. It really drives home that atmosphere in this, especially when you contrast it to the music that, say, Cabby's playing on his cassette tapes. And if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil where that comes back around and foreshadowing and all that. But if you haven't seen it, see this movie, because it is actually my favorite John Carpenter movie. It's really and truly an experience, and the score for this movie is a huge chunk of the reason why this movie is so effective and so gripping. So question number 2 is, So question number 2 is the most underrated John Carpenter movie. And for me, John Carpenter doesn't do sequels, but he did do a sequel to Escape from New York, which was Escape from LA. He took elements of what he had done with Big Trouble in Little China. He took elements from what he had done with They Live, and mixed those in with Escape from New York. Brought back the character of Snake Plissken. Kurt Russell is iconic in that role, and brought in a ton of fun cameos in a movie that's somewhat a parody of it, but it's a much lighter tone. The CGI in it is bad. Some of the acting is a little off. The story is repetitive of the first movie. I know all the things that people complain about in this one, but it's Snake Plissken. You've got cameos by Bruce Campbell. The Steve Buscemi character is really great with his flip-flopping of his loyalties. The disdain that in a lot of ways Carpenter has for the movie business, the industry, the record business, all of that stuff really comes forward in this one. And it's just fun and goofy. But it also has a really good undertone to it. When it wants to be serious, it can. The basketball court scene, for instance, in what is actually a silly premise in and of itself, is actually, very intense. It's very much, draws you into it. It very much makes you anticipate the end of it, even though you know, because at this point Snake's kind of a superhero versus the anti-hero, even though he is still definitely an anti-hero. But he definitely has that super ability, kind of thing, to survive all this silly crap that's thrown at him. You know how the basketball court scene is going to end, but at the same time, it really does have a good atmosphere. It really does build up to it. The use of slow motion in it, and of course that end sequence. The hang gliders riding the Santa Ana winds, dropping bombs. It's hysterical. It's stupid. It's fun, and it's Snake Plissken, and it's definitely underrated. Honestly, I love Escape from LA. Not anywhere near on the same level or in the same way as Escape from New York, but I actually really love this movie. So, number 3 on the list is the Scariest Scene. I hate to sound like that over-jaded, over-exposed horror person, but really, movies don't scare me. I might be taken in occasionally by a jump scare that I didn't see coming if it's done right, but even usually those I see coming from a mile away, like most longtime horror fans are going to do. So scenes don't generally scare me, but one that has always stuck out in my head, just because of the way it was done, the way it's executed, the build up to it, the expectation, and all that, is the defibrillator scene from The Thing, where the chest opens up into a mouth and bites the guy's arms off. There's really a build up to it. You know something's coming. You didn't really see that coming, and you sure didn't see him coming up with no arms. So great scene, and as far as scares go, that's the way you do a jump scare. That's the way you pervert expectations, and that's, as far as it goes, the scariest scene in a John Carpenter movie to me. So, question number 4. The most suspenseful scene. Well, I kind of got to go with a few others on this one. The scene for me that builds the most legitimate, dreadful suspense is the blood test scene. And it builds on itself, and Again, the expectation is there. You know something's going to happen. And when it does, you know, it goes straight in, straight for the throat, balls to the wall. You know, it's even with a touch of comic relief. You know, I don't want to spend the entire winter tied to this couch. It's a great scene. It really builds the suspense for it, and for me, that is like the greatest suspense scene of John Carpenter movies. So, question 5 is your favorite non-horror John Carpenter movie? Well, for me, there's enough suspense, there's enough thriller elements, and in Escape from New York, that I don't think that really qualifies for me in this one. That is definitely a thriller. That is definitely something that is dark enough that while it's not a straight horror movie, it really kind of still falls into that horror category with post-apocalyptic level of it. So for me, favorite true non-horror movie by John Carpenter is Big Trouble in Little China. Kurt Russell is wonderful in it. Her name escapes me at the moment. Who plays Gracie Law is wonderful in it. All of the supporting actors in it are great. The actor, of course, who plays Lopan has been in hundreds of movies. The guy who plays Egg has been in so many movies. And both of them are wonderful. It's definitely kind of a Bruce Campbell performance mixed with a John Wayne kind of thing from Kurt Russell. Stuck into this Hong Kong sci-fi martial arts flick, and it's this weird combination that shouldn't work, and at times it doesn't work, but the fact that it doesn't work is one of the things that works for it, which is a whole bunch of double talk. It's just a fun, goofy ride. It's an action comedy, and Jack Burton is the star of the movie, but he's not the hero of the movie. He's the sidekick, and he has no idea that he's the sidekick. It's so much fun and so enjoyable, and it's definitely an action comedy and a non-horror. Hi folks, and thank you so much for watching this far into the video. If you've made it this far, then you're obviously a channel supporter. So, as usual, down in the description below, there's going to be my personal links for Teespring. I have a Patreon, buy me a coffee, all of that stuff. If you're in a position to help the channel and help the channel grow, these are the best ways to do it. This is a direct thing for me. There is also an Amazon wish list if you want to buy some things for the channel. You can do it there and it'll send it directly to me. So, as always, thank you so much for watching. Y'all have a good one. Alright, so question number 6 on the list is, will Michael Myers ever die? Yes, he will. He will die at the end of the next movie. He will die at the end of the movie after that. He will die at the end of the movie after that. Well, maybe not every one, but every other one. But he'll also come right back. As long as there's money to be made on this gravy train, as long as they can keep it rolling, Michael Myers will be back from here until the money runs out. Will they kill him off permanently in Halloween Ends? Maybe. Depends on if they want to continue the timeline. If they want to go back and revisit one of the other timelines, then they will kill him off permanently in that one and resurrect him in a different one. If they want to go in a completely new direction and revamp everything that's been done, then he'll come back, they'll kill him, he'll come back, they'll kill him. It's one of those things that as long as people are watching these movies, they're going to keep bringing him back. So, number 7 is the spookiest atmosphere. The most atmospheric film from John Carpenter is The Fog for me. Um, it literally, once the movie starts rolling and the fog comes in, the ghost story comes in. Um, Even though there are breaks in what's going on and you get different moments through it, um, the ghostly atmosphere continues through the whole thing and continues to build up until the end. Um, and it maintains that spookiness that the other films just don't. And maybe it's the atmospheric elements as far as the fog itself coming in. Um, Maybe it's the way that it's shot, whatever. Or maybe it's a combination of all of those. We like to think that because we do. Because even though Carpenter's not my favorite director, he's a very good director. And he's a lot of people's favorites. And you see the way that this movie was done, and this movie was done right as far as the atmosphere for it. And it maintains that atmosphere where a lot of other ones, even when they pull back on the momentum, or when this one pulls back on the momentum, it doesn't lose the atmosphere, versus a lot of movies that do. So question number 8 is, what is the worst John Carpenter film? For me, it's got to be Memoirs of the Invisible Man. Even worse than Ghost of Mars, which is kind of a so bad it's good movie for me. There are some things that I really enjoy about that one. But Memoirs of an Invisible Man, I don't enjoy at all. I'm not a big Chevy Chase fan anyway. I feel like he just kind of lackluster, phoned in performance in this movie. The direction feels uninspired. It feels like a paycheck movie, and from what I understand, it pretty much was. It started off with good intentions, but conflicts with the studio, conflicts with the cast, things like that just took the life out of it, and it just turned into a paycheck movie, and it just feels like it all the way through. The comedy falls flat. The adventure doesn't really keep your attention, or at least it doesn't mine. So, for me, the worst John Carpenter film is Memoirs of the Invisible Man. Question number 9. If John Carpenter came back to direct a direct sequel to one of his movies, what would you want it to be? Big Trouble in Little China. We already got a fun sequel to Escape from New York. They never came back and did a third one. He had originally, at some point in time, planned on doing a third one, but they never came back to it. But I would love to see the further adventures of Wang and Jack Burton. I think that it could be fun, especially now, all these years later, where they're both much older. You could have Jack married to somebody, even Gracie Law if you wanted to, and you could have, Wang and the girl that they rescued in the first one. You could have that all together, and it would be so much fun, especially if you went in with the same kind of goofy, funny, outrageous sensibility, wire works, and the martial arts kind of thing. Or take it in a different direction and kind of put those two buddies into something that was more horror related or whatever. Those two characters had a really good dynamic that worked so well, that I would love to see them come back together again in a different movie, in another situation. Maybe let Jack be the actual hero this time. Maybe not. Who knows? But for me, if Carpenter came back to do a sequel, that's the one I would want him to do. So question number 10 is, does John Carpenter still have one epic, great movie in him. Yes. Under the right conditions. Watching the interviews and things with him talking about the last Halloween movie and doing the score for the one coming up, him talking about his music, he's obviously not lost any mental faculty. So if he could do it once, he could do it again. However, it's John Carpenter, and just the way that he is, it would literally have to be a ground up, or from the ground up, passion project. It would have to be a minimum budget kind of thing, and something where he came up with this unique idea on his own and literally took it from very beginning to very end and did it completely independently. No studio interference, no hand-picked actors so that there was no conflict. It would have to be on that level. Otherwise, it's John Carpenter. He's going to get frustrated, and he's either going to screw it up on purpose or he's going to phone it in because he's John Carpenter and he doesn't have to deal with that anymore. He's in his own place. He can do what he wants, how he wants. So yeah, if he has the same mental ability that he had before, modern technology can get behind the camera, whatever. But if he came up with a passion project, a real from the ground up, bootstraps up passion project, sure. I think he's got another one in him. I think he's got 4, 5, 15, whatever he wants to do. But it's got to be 100% him for him to do it and for it to come off the way we would want a John Carpenter film to be, and what we would want for his epic comeback to cinema. Otherwise, no. And I don't want to see him phone it in. I don't want to see him bullied by the studio to the point that he completely walks away from everything. Like I said, his scores are not really instrumented the way that I like, but I really do appreciate his talent with that. And I feel like he's at an age where if he started a project and it blew up in his face, he would probably do nothing but, record music and sell it independently and not do scores for anybody else's movies, not do anything for anybody else, and completely say, piss off to everybody. So that's been my answers to Sean's 10 questions. Thank you so much for watching, especially if you've watched all the way to the end. I really do appreciate it, Sean. This was a lot of fun. It took me a while to get to it. I really had to think on some of these. So it was a great tag. Like I said, I'm not tagging anybody directly. There's a few channels out there I would like to see do this that haven't yet. But you know what? If you're not interested, that's cool too. If you do it, if you saw it here first, give me credit, but make sure, whether you saw it here or someone else, if you do it, make sure you give Sean credit. So, as always, y'all be good, y'all be safe, and y'all have a good one.